My dad said something to me after the divorce. He said every soldier has two families. Those you raise, and those you raise hell with. I've spent 8 days here. 8 days commanding a squad I wasn't ready to lead. 8 days watching my men, my family, be killed. 8 days wishing it would stop.
Hello and welcome everyone. This is Cavalier Astoria, and today we're going to be playing another one of my favorite games of all time. Brothers in Arms, Road to Hill 30.
Baker! You okay, Baker?
And of course, pretty classic opening. You end up waking up in the middle of a later mission. And of course, this is famous Bloody Gulch. Which, if you know Band of Brothers, this is the moment where Easy Company ends up helping defend against a counterattack right outside of the town of Caratan. Yeah, it's not going too good for the guys here.
Where's the goddamn armor? He's gonna die! We're all gonna die!
Yeah, you might want to be on your radio, Leggett.
Damn it! Fucking chrome bastard!
I'll talk about Leggett later. I have serious problems with this character and how they take him in later games.
There's not falling back! Get down! This is gonna be bad! You want me? Fucking take me! Take me!
Overall, I would say that this is not the strongest opening of a game I've ever played. I'm not a whole fan of the whole flash forward and then you go back in time. Basically like putting the prologue way set in the future, then you're heading back, which I'm forgetting the technical term in writing, what that is. Flash forward. But I think once you get past that, the intro, I think this game gets consistently stronger pretty much with every single level. And of course, this is a fictionalized story where you play as a part of Fox Company. And where you play as that guy, PFC Matt Baker, but in reality you're a sergeant. You got promoted right before the invasion, and you got placed in charge of a squad. And this is actually the one thing I actually like about this game. There's very few franchises where you actually command an actual squad. And I mean actually command them. And there's the famous Eisenhower meeting with paratroopers scene. Yeah. I'm just laughing. A medal has been awarded. Bronze Star. This is a new profile for me because I just re-downloaded the game. So, I'm going to get those a lot. June 6th, Rendezvous Destiny. We got the classic C-47s flying over. And despite the really
I
low
never asked to be
graphics,
squad leader, but I had no choice.
from
Now
what I
I've
could
got
tell, the
13
uniforms are
soldiers under
correct.
my command. 13 men depending on me to make the right decisions and not get them killed. 13 families relying on me to bring their husbands and sons home. 13. 13 is not a lucky number.
It's not. But most squads would be around 12 to 13 in World War II for the U.S. Army. Now this is the thing that's kind of weird. If you notice here, we only got 14 in the stick. By the way, this entire procedure is actually very accurate for a jump. And from what I can tell, the actual equipment is very accurate. But if you notice, the back said 14. In reality, there should be 18 guys in here. Each one of these planes carried 18.
We wait for the green light. We wait any longer, there won't be a fucking green light. Baker, stand in the door.
I don't think you'd be standing in the door while it's still red
I
light.
never asked to be squad leader.
And that's why you don't. And there goes the famous leg bag. So the leg bag carried the equipment of every single paratrooper going into Normandy. It was a British invention, and the American paratroopers were actually not properly trained on them. So they pretty much got the leg bags right before the jump, and they didn't really know how to use them properly. So they ended up accidentally overloading the leg bags, and that resulted in them losing all of their equipment because they just got torn off and flew to the ground independently. But yeah, so this is a very classic scene of paratrooper loses his equipment and is on his own, needs to find allies and gear. Realistically, you'd be trying to find that leg bag, or hopping this fence, heading over to the bat parachute, see if his leg bag is still there. I turned off the tutorial, by the way. I already know how to play this game. And here we got our platoon sergeant,
Baker, where the hell's all your gear?
which
Oh, shit.
his uniform says that he is a staff sergeant.
We're in gray.
And yeah, staff sergeant in World War II, early war, the platoon sergeant role was filled by a staff sergeant. But in later war, especially around this point, he should be a technical sergeant, which is now a sergeant first class in modern U.S. Army. Obviously, Colt 45, the classic pistol of World War II. And we got another paratrooper.
There's a couple of houses here.
It was actually common for guys to get killed in their
Trying to figure out
shoots.
where the hell we are.
And I'll talk more about this later. But the main reason why is because you can't really see it because of
Sure
graphics.
as shit don't want to
But
with all these crowds about.
a U.S. Army paratrooper would have 5 harnesses. Well, 5 points on his harness.
Let's move, Baker.
1 for each leg, 2 up here, 1 across the waist. And that created a really slow, fairly dangerous parachute because you couldn't get out of it quickly. So if like you got dropped into water, which was one of the bigger issues, you basically would drown if you couldn't get your harness off in time, because eventually the canopy will just kind of fall around you and suck you in. Or you got trapped in your chute in a tree and you got shot, as what happened to that paratrooper. And yeah,
I'll cross first. Cover me.
if you're wondering, the bar on the back of his head that you saw right there,
Thunder, who's there?
that actually designates a NCO.
Shit, Mac and Baker. I thought it was lost. Quiet. Keep your voice down or the whole goddamn German army will show up. There'll be plenty of time to reminisce later. Anybody know where we are?
Lieutenant Colonel Cole, Medal of Honor recipient.
Stay put.
I'll talk more about Cole once we actually get to the level about his Medal of Honor, which is shown in the later on.
Just we American.
Yeah, later on in the game. But if you notice, he has a horizontal bar. He has a vertical bar. So a vertical bar in World War II meant an officer. A horizontal bar designated an NCO. So someone like a sergeant. Meanwhile, this guy, since he's a private, he doesn't have anything on the back of his helmet. It's basically like a quick way to figure out who that person is just by looking at the back of their helmet.
I'm gonna see if I can gather some more guys. Y'all head that way, through the gate, and link up with anyone else you find as you head east.
Classic early
Stay alive.
2000s
That's an order.
missions being really short, and apparently I got another fucking bronze star. I'm getting bronze stars left and right. This will probably be the last mission I play with this little section.
Start to notice the quirks a person has when you think he might be dead in a week. I remember the first time I saw Leggett. It was in the breakfast tent. He was cutting a hard-boiled egg into small pieces with a knife, like ham.
I don't trust people who do
It
that.
occurred to me at this point I'd never in my 23 years of existence seen a man cut an egg into slices like that.
One thing I do like is
I
that
don't know why I remember that.
Baker's a sergeant, 23 years old. And I think a lot of people don't realize this with like a lot of modern movies. They tend to make sergeants and officers a lot older than they would be. They would be early 20s. And privates would be, 18, 19. Maybe 20. But yeah, these guys have been young men. Going straight into hell. Now, this little area of the tutorial is actually really interesting. So, I'm going to crouch here, and I'm going to show you it. If you hit V in this game, you go into this mode, which is basically like a planning mode, where you can... Hang on. Oops. Where's the swift? Okay, it's using the arrows. But you can see, your allies, yourself, your objective, and this is kind of like the substitute for your mini-map, as well as enemies, as we're going to see in a little bit.
Baker, get down. Stand by the fire. Don't fire.
Well, we're under fire, Mac. Maybe you should fire. And this is the real thing that I really like about this game. If you notice right above their head, you have that little circle. And basically, that is their suppression. The most important thing about this game is that it accurately, well, about as close as you can get to actual fire and maneuver tactics. You have to suppress the enemy, then you have to get around them, and then you have to, yeah, you actually have to move around and flank them while another element suppresses them. It's going to get a lot easier once we actually get it to command our squad. But yeah, it's just move around. Mac's over there providing covering fire. Then we sneak up here and shoot them. Also, I just want to point this out. One thing that will infuriate you about this game is that guns are inaccurate as hell. It takes like multiple shots to even land one. But bullets are pretty deadly in this game. Let's grab the Car 98.
I don't see any more. Poor bastards. We should help them. Maybe there's still some alive.
You really like it? You think you're going to pull someone out of that?
Keep moving, Leggett.
But yeah, a lot of the C-47s got shot down. During the... So what I'm going to say next is... It's interesting slash a little controversial when you actually say it out loud. Most of the guys who were transport pilots tended to be a lot more inexperienced pilots because they're not used to being shot at. So a lot of the guys placed in charge of, you know, dropping off the paratroopers, they were very inexperienced, at least for the US side. I think for the British, they were actually pretty dang good. But a lot of them, once they started getting hit by flak, started panicking, and they accidentally broke formation. And that was actually the primary reason why the American paratroopers were scattered all to hell. But yeah, a lot of them were very inexperienced, and
There's an AA gun over there. We have to take it out.
the controversial part is that some of them, not all of them, some of them were the less good pilots. Most of the great pilots got sucked up by the fighter corps. Then Bomber Command had the next pick. And generally speaking, transport got, you know, whoever was left. That is not true for every single one. There were guys who volunteered to do just transport, and they were still very good pilots. Like, they wouldn't have put a guy into the air if he couldn't fly. And at the end of the day, volunteers were prioritized. And they, generally speaking, try to keep guys where they wanted to go. But yeah, a lot of the transport pilots were not necessarily the best of the best. They tended to be either the guys who couldn't make it as fighter pilots or bomber crews, well, bomber pilots, or they tended to be volunteers. And that's what helped contribute to the whole American paratroopers getting lost. And I want to make this clear. They were not the sole thing responsible for the American paratroopers being scattered. For example, with Easy Company from the Band of Brothers series, they actually lost their Pathfinders. Their Pathfinders got shot down over the channel. So what ended up actually happening was that Easy Company's beacons were never placed down because, you know, they ended up at the bottom of the channel and had to be rescued by the the Navy. So, you know, stuff like that. But also another major problem was the fact that not every single plane actually had the, like, the actual capability of grabbing onto those beacons that the Pathfinders would place down first in order to actually guide the planes in. Not every single one of them had it. So what ended up happening a lot of the time was once they got separated from their lead plane, they were basically flying blind. So they tended to drop guys off just wherever, whenever they could. But yeah, with that, another really short mission.
The 4ID is coming up through Utah Beach. And there are Germans all over that area.
I think I might play one more.
Let's move.
Actually, no. Because, let me double check. So we'll actually call it there. We will continue on with Ambush at Exit 4, and we'll probably play this mission plus the next mission after, well, next time. Either way, if you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate if you liked and subscribed. And have a wonderful day. Goodbye.